Hey everyone, I want to talk about the topic that I think affects a lot of people when they're going through OCD and anxiety recovery, or really when anything in their life is going wrong, death of a loved one, changing of careers. And that's kind of giving up on certain things because you feel like you're too stressed or you feel like you're too tired. And I think this is something that really did affect me a lot more than I realized. The fear of burnout, the fear of not getting good sleep, all sleep-related fears. And why really taking a lot off your plate is understandable in the sense that there's a lot of people out there that say, hey, look, relax a little bit, take time for yourself. And whilst there's nothing inherently wrong with that, it is important to highlight that for OCD and anxiety sufferers, a lot of the times, which we can never get certainty on, there's a large fear component, and this goes way beyond just OCD and anxiety sufferers. I think the fear component based around, am I going to be able to handle this? How am I going to learn these new things at my work when I have chronic anxiety, shame, and guilt? How am I going to be able to have a child? I have horrendous harm and POCD. How am I going to be able to move across the country? I don't know anyone. I have all this other stuff going on. And how these fear responses really niggle in and grip its teeth in there and really mimic the sensations of burnout and being overwhelmed. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. If you're new to our channel, we have a lot of different videos on many different playlists. I think we have 300-400 videos in acceptance by itself. I think I've done probably about 40 or 50. So this is a really good topic. Sleep-related things. I'm actually going to bring this in a little bit closer. There we go. Sleep-related topics are very common, right? And they're very common among people who don't have OCD as well. I think the world is very hell-bent right now on optimal sleep. And when you look at people who have really recovered from sleep-related fears, one person we work with, her name is Beth. Her Instagram is The Holistic Sleep Coach with periods between every word. The Holistic Sleep Coach. I've had a couple conversations with Beth. She's amazing. Went to all these different sleep clinics. And what she realized was the fear of not sleeping drove a 20-year, I believe it was a two-decade cycle of insomnia. And if you need help with these things, please reach out. Phil at OCDrecovery.com. We can help you break these fears down. So when you're going through OCD and anxiety recovery, it's to be expected that you will have levels of discomfort that you didn't think were possible. I mean, if you would have came up to me in the mid-2000 teens, like 2014, 15, 16, when things were kind of brewing, but they weren't that bad. I had some really high moments of anxiety, but they would come and go. If you asked me that a human could withstand the types of anxiety that OCD and chronic sufferers experience, my battery thing just went on. I would have said there's just no way it's possible, because there's so much information out there about how bad that is that people are spending numerous amounts of time going to sleep clinics, going to medical doctors, going to people that are doing, yoga retreats and meditation retreats to really get them in this almost Zen state where they can get better sleep. Now, the problem with that is your fear of not sleeping isn't being changed. It's not that meditation and yoga retreats are inherently bad. It's not that melatonin is inherently bad. It's not that sleeping in a cold room or having a good mattress are inherently bad. What's inherently bad is your belief system surrounding sleep. So there's a couple different things that I had to do, but before I go into what was practical about changing my relationship with this fear, let me tell you how it presented to me. Now, I play pretty high-level competitive video games. Many people know that. I'm a massive nerd, and I would, my wife is in the room below, so she knows, she'll probably laugh. We like to say I would almost put her to bed at like 9:30, and I would play video games from 10 o'clock till 1:30 in the morning, and then sometimes I'd wake up at 4:30 to go to the gym. So there was these extended periods of time where I was sleeping 3 to 4 hours a day, where I'm not saying that's good for you. I would agree it's not, but it didn't scare me. And that's a bigger problem to me. Getting poor sleep and being tired and not being at your quote-unquote A game, which is a perfectionistic nightmare for humans in of itself, because we've created this idea based around, sleep is the most important thing ever. Sleep is very important. It's just not as important as society makes it out to be. And I get a lot of kickback on that because people jump to the conclusions of saying, well, you're discrediting all the information, all the research. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that your fear, your belief systems based around sleep will perpetuate long-term emotional disturbances than getting 6 hours of sleep for the remainder of your life. And again, it's not saying whether that's good or bad. I'm not going down that topic because that's a dead-end topic for humans, OCD suffering or not. The way I look at sleep is if you sleep, you sleep. If you don't, you don't. And I try my best to listen to my body, which means if I nap, sometimes I might go a couple weeks without napping. Sometimes I might take a 20-minute nap at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but I have no fear of that disrupting my sleep. So like yesterday, I took a 20-minute nap at 3, which is a little bit later than I normally would, and I had a little bit more difficult time going to sleep. So I actually got in bed a little bit earlier yesterday. There goes the, whatever it's called. Deodorant. I just saw that right there. And I remember thinking, at the time I would think, oh my gosh, this is so terrible. Not this time, but that's how I would see it in the past. This is so terrible. How could this happen? I'm not going to be able to sleep now. And last night I kind of tossed and turned and was watching hiking videos. Who would have thought? Until, I don't know, 11:30-ish. So then I slept in a little bit later than I normally would and got up at 6 when I usually get up at 5. So, I mean, none of that really matters. I'm just saying it for the example of my mind wasn't latching onto whether I'm getting the right amount of sleep or not, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say I was moving closer and closer to quote unquote bedtime, right? So the way it presents is, let's say I got to get in bed by 10 o'clock. I have to at least sleep 6 or 7 hours. No, I'm not going out. No, I'm not drinking caffeine at all, many people, let alone past 12. I hear all this stuff in the fitness world where these people post these really complex posts about why drinking caffeine after 3 p.m. is bad for REM sleep, and I'm not discrediting any of that information. I'm saying it's not necessary. It's just not necessary, and it creates way more problems than not, because what happens is if I'm like, yo, let's go out and do something, Erica goes home on vacation and one of my buddies wants to go out and smoke a cigar at 11 o'clock at night, I might have a coffee at 6 p.m. because I know I might be staying out a little bit later. This is not about whether it's good or right. These things in life that you're trying to get control over, you're not really living. You're just controlling in this compulsive grip about, this is how my life has to be. So you're going to have to really lean to that uncomfortability. I don't personally, I know this, a lot of people don't like when I say this. It's not that I don't believe in burnout. I don't believe in it at the way that most people see it. Because when you look at the way that most people are living with the fears of burnout, they're like, I got to work part-time. I have to have a morning routine. I have to have a sleep routine. I have to have no blue light 2 hours before bed, no caffeine after 3, no intense workouts at night, no watching scary movies at night because my heart rate will go up and I'll be more scared. It's just a total trap. The best way to live your life, in my opinion, is you just kind of live your life in a balanced way, and at times, sometimes an unbalanced way, and accepting that. I probably drink caffeine more so than many people like to. This is my 3rd cup of coffee. It's 10:30 in the morning right now. I might have another cup or 2 today. It's just one of those days where if I get into a really good work groove and I like drinking and consuming a lot of coffee, and I might forget to drink as much water. So these are all little things that, again, it's not about health or unhealth, but humans have convinced themselves that if they don't live by this strict tightrope, they're just going to drop over and die at the age of 25. It's total lunacy. And that's not reassurance. That's just how much the sleep industry, Beth, the holistic sleep coach, says, the sleep industry has built a multi-billion-dollar industry convincing you in the detriments of sleep. I could sleep on this hard carpet with a pillow and this light blanket every night for the remainder of my life, and it would not scare me at all. It wouldn't. It wouldn't scare me. If you told me I had to sleep outside on the brick, on the outside cement patio for a year with just a pillow and a blanket, I would do it. And there's no way I would like that. But it wouldn't scare me, okay? And again, that's the biggest difference between acceptance doesn't mean agreement. I hear this all the time. I got bad sleep because I slept on the couch. I got bad sleep because I slept on the cot on vacation. It's just those things don't even cross my mind. I just get in places to sleep, and that's the way it is. But it took me a really, really long time to get there because I had to break down all those fears. Daisy's underneath me right now. She's trying to put her head underneath. I'll show her at the end of the video since lots of people ask about her. I know, boo-boo. About the sleep-related fears. So it took time to break those down. Now, do I take melatonin? Sure. 3-4 times a month. Do I pop it in there, 5 milligrams of melatonin if I'm really tired? Sure. Do I need to take it? No. Does it happen randomly? Sure. My opinion on sleeping pills, Sleeping pills, very bad. No benefits whatsoever. No real benefits. I never meet someone who has good acceptance on sleep-related problems that are taking sleeping aids. Can't recommend medications. I'm just giving you my opinion. The Ambiens of the world, the drowsiness medications, and stuff like that. Do I take some nighttime cold flu stuff? Like I was sick last week after hiking. I took that for 2 nights because I had a couple nights where I slept like 3 hours and I was just dead. Sure. But again, I don't need to do that. That's the thing. You think you need those sleeping medications because you think I have to get good sleep. I'm telling you, if you're struggling with sleep-related fears, no melatonin, no magnesium, no sleeping pills. You gotta get comfortable with that. You gotta jump into the fire. If you sleep, you sleep. You don't, you don't. So now that's everything how it presented with me. And I would get progressively more anxious as it got up to nighttime. So I would get really anxious around 8, 9 o'clock. Just like, oh gosh, I'm not in bed yet. Like I'm still working and oh my gosh, and this and that. So I had to wear all that automatic rumination process. The other thing I had to do too was I was sleeping in a little bit later than I normally would. Now this looks different for everyone. There is no right or wrong here, no matter what anyone says on social media. I particularly like waking up between 4:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. But every once in a while, once every couple of months, I'll sleep till 9 if I'm really dead. It happens. But the majority of the time, ooh, here comes the sneeze. Ooh, bless you. Almost spilled my coffee. Majority of the time, I am waking up quite early because that's what it works for my schedule and going to the gym. And that's what it looks like for me. If you're in college or uni or in high school and in summer vacation, it's not an excuse to sleep till 10, 11, 12. I did this and played video games. My structure was horrible. Don't be like Nick. Should be a hashtag. Do the opposite of Nick. So I did that. It set me up with really poor life structure. Life kicked me in the face when my father passed away because I lived in a bubble. Me and my wife have had many conversations about this. My dad dying was the best thing that ever happened to me and the worst thing that ever happened to me. My father means a lot to me. I love and miss my dad, but I lived in a bubble because I was raised in that very coddly environment, which was atypical for a full Italian. But from the mindset of, I think it was, my dad didn't have anything growing up. So when he was an attorney, he wanted to give everything to his children, me and my sister. The problem was it's all good and fun until something bad happens. That's why long-term optimism doesn't work. But that's a different topic, which I am going to talk about that in a video coming up. The problem with consistent optimism. It seems like a good way to live your life. It's, in my opinion, one of the worst ways to live your life because you're expecting that nothing will go wrong. And sleep was the same thing. I expected that nothing would go wrong in my life. Who thinks that they're going to have a problem based around the fear of sleep until you develop that fear. I never had this fear before. I used to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day. Those days are gone. Once a fear is latched, the only thing you can do is break down the fear. It's a dead end trying to go backwards and break open that fear and kind of, why I didn't have this. So getting used to the automatic rumination about sleep, getting comfortable with lying in bed and tossing and turning all night, and breaking down the belief that sleep is absolutely necessary for recovery. So I need to get good sleep. Well, says who? Who says you need to get good sleep to be able to break your fears down? I'm not saying there's a great benefit in getting good sleep, but that's going to look so different from person to person. And there's so many ways you can analyze this, right? I would have times where I slept 4 hours and think, oh my gosh, I feel great. Then I would have times where I'd sleep 8 hours 2 days in a row, which is super uncommon, and think, why am I so tired? Because none of that matters. All that matters is my belief system on sleep. All that matters is my belief system on my physical appearance with body dysmorphia. All that matters is my belief system on fear. Everything else, all the daily minutia, all the rumination, all the tired sensations, all the burnout sensations, those are just noise. It's absolutely dead-end traps to go down those routes and analyze those. You will automatically, but there is a large degree of researching and Googling. There is a large degree of avoidance behaviors. They all have to change. These are the things that really kept me stuck. I made the changes, so could you. So what does sleep fear recovery look like? Well, I definitely don't have any fears about not sleeping because I go hiking, and like I said on Saturday, I slept like 2 hours. Then I got sick. So is it healthy for you? Of course not. Could I maintain that for months on end? Probably not. No. Are there people out there that could? Ellis, Oprah Winfrey, there's a couple other people that can operate on 3 hours of sleep a day. So everyone's a little bit different in that regard. I don't have any fear about sleeping. I don't have any fear about sleeping on certain places. I could sleep on this couch. I actually prefer sleeping on the couch, right? My bedroom's upstairs. I slept on this couch last night. I mean, my pillow's still right here. And I tossed and turned a lot because our home doesn't have central AC. Fun. So I have no fears about going on vacations and not getting good sleep and messing up my times. I'm not drinking coffees at 8, 9 o'clock at night, but every once in a while I do enjoy a 5, 6 p.m. coffee. I do. I probably overindulge in caffeine. I've always enjoyed caffeine between pre-workouts, energy drinks, and coffee. Let's see what else. What am I not scared of anymore? I have no health effects whatsoever. I'm not scared of death in that regard. You know, because people say, well, it probably is unhealthy for you to get 5, 6 hours of sleep and drink as much caffeine as you do. It could shorten your life. Sure, I'll take that risk. If you told me right now I was going to die at 50, but I could live my life exactly how I wanted to versus live till 90 and live this very scared, coddled life, I'd pick 50 every day. I wouldn't even think about it. If I had to hit a button. Now, that would have never happened to me 5 years ago. I would have picked the 90 because I was so obsessed with optimal workouts and optimal sleep and optimal nutrition. But I had to change all that. And you could do it too. I'm not the only one. I've worked with many people. You got to stop venting. Stop coming into the groups. I can't sleep, guys. It's so bad for me. Please help me. That's got to go. Venting to your family, loved ones, your parents, all that's got to go. And you got to get comfortable with the sensations over long periods of time. And I mean long periods of time. I'll move it for Daisy right here. Look at her. So she likes to... Some people are weird about that. They don't let their dogs lick them. Look, you're the weird one, okay? You're the weird one. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her little high little ears, dude. You get some ears. Oh, God, look who's coming. What are you doing? Who's that? Who's that? He's not. There he goes. Bye-bye. He's not that bright. She's the smart one. She's the smart one. Thank you, guys. As always, Phil at OCDRecovery.com. Hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one.